What if I told you that for the rest of your life, you could only eat at one place? What would you say? Do you already know the answer? Now, what if I told you you don't get to pick? I'm your host, Valerie Borgman, and this week we're talking about senior living and food. Welcome to Desperately Seeking Senior Living, a podcast for sons, daughters, grandkids, and spouses who suddenly find themselves tangled in the search for senior living and care. If you like today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and check out our doable download in today's show notes for a printable summary of the show and a bonus tip from our guest. You're listening to our doable tips, short answers to your questions. Don't see your question listed? Send us a note. Then don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an answer. Hi, and welcome to the show. I have to say that I'm actually surprised we don't hear more about how important food is to seniors we help. I know that if I had to eat in the same dining room for the next 5, 10, or more years, I'd be thinking, that food better be good. And I suspect that most, if not all of us, are thinking the same thing. I love food. And even though care and location are arguably more important, which is probably why we don't hear about the food as much, this week we're going to take a look at food in senior living. We're going to talk about how dining works in a senior living community versus an adult family home, how communities can differ from each other, special diets, and what to do if you don't like the food. Let's start with the adult family home. Dining in an adult family home or residential care home can be designed specifically for each resident. If your mom prefers to eat in her room, she can, although they will invite her to eat in the dining room. And this is, of course, going to be very similar to your dining room, a home like setting because, well, it's a home. So, does your dad sleep late? That's okay too. He can eat when he's ready. And in most cases, the adult family home can provide very specific food items. If your mom loves a specific brand of chocolate ice cream, chances are the home will buy it for her and keep it on hand. Does your dad always have to have pistachios around for a snack? No problem. One family we worked with shared their mom's favorite meal with the home, which was from Panera. And the home invited her and her daughter over for lunch. And they had her favorite for her. Because adult family homes have so few residents compared to a community, they have the ability to purchase special food items and often even have takeout nights. Now, you might be thinking, but in a community setting, my mom will have her own refrigerator, so she can keep her ice cream there, and dad can keep his pistachios. And you're absolutely right. But you'd be responsible for keeping those items stocked and paid for. And your mom could absolutely still eat in her room, usually at a small additional cost, either a delivery fee for the community's food or purchasing her own groceries. So let's talk about dining in the community setting. They'll have a per person budget, a chef, and a rotating menu. How often the menus rotate or recycle depend on the community. Some communities won't repeat a daily special for 8 weeks and some for 6 weeks. They usually have a list of items you can always get. You know, the basics like eggs and bacon, a chef salad, or a cheeseburger. Many communities also have set dining times. For example, 7:30 to 9 for breakfast or 11:30 to 1 for lunch. I've even seen the dining window at only an hour for each meal, which can mean crowded elevators. Some communities offer anytime dining, but usually that means that the kitchen will make you a sandwich if you missed lunch. Very few have true restaurant style, anytime, come in, sit down, and get served dining. But they are out there, and I'm not sure why more communities don't offer it. Some communities have a system where you choose your meal the day before for the next day. And you might be thinking, wait, you mean like when my dad was in the hospital? Like, how will he know what he's going to feel like eating the next day? And that is a fair point. The communities that do this are often smaller communities. And while it may not work for everyone, it's an excellent way to reduce food waste. And when you can reduce food waste, you can add to the food budget. This usually means more variety or higher quality. So it might not be so bad after all. Most communities also have outings to different restaurants, which would be an extra cost. And what about the actual dining experience? Well, back to that restaurant style. Some communities have really nice menu holders and waiters and waitresses. These are sometimes the care staff and sometimes separate employees. Some menus are just a piece of paper on the table. Some communities have soda, and most don't, which can also be really important. Another client of ours loves her Pepsi. Some communities bring your order out on a tray, like you would see in a restaurant, and some are pushing around carts. For instance, the drink cart or the salad cart, and you would just choose what you want right off of the cart. Some communities have assigned seating, and others are open seating. With the assigned seating, this can actually help with identifying residents with those special diets. And sometimes it can reduce that nervous feeling that you get when you're trying to decide where to sit and with whom. On a side note, in these situations, the community does try to pair residents with like interests. And some communities have open seating where you can come in and sit wherever you want. Don't be shy about expressing any of your concerns about the seating options. Communities can usually get creative. So, what about special diets? Every adult family home or community should be able to accommodate special diets. These days, vegetarian and even vegan are making the list right along with low sodium and diabetic. Communities usually have a board in the kitchen with each resident's photo and their special diet. So that way, everyone knows who gets what. So, what happens if you're already in an adult family home or a community and you don't like the food? When I worked in an assisted living community, I remember the day our chef took another job. Sure, everyone was sad to see him go, but his food was amazing. So we were all, including the residents, a little scared. There are many reasons the food could be not so great: budget cuts, someone leaving, or even a lack of focus on that particular department. Many communities have meetings with the chef, and I love these. It's where residents can talk about what they like and what they don't like. And in some cases, they even share their recipes with the chef and see them on the menu in the weeks to come. If that's not happening in your community, write down your concerns and your questions and get specific. Is it variety that you're not happy with? Is it the actual quality? Is your mom forgetting that there's a menu apart from the daily specials that she can choose from? Whatever your concerns, start by sharing them with the chef. And the best way to do this is usually through the front desk. If your community doesn't have one of these meetings with the chef, they can provide the email address so that you can send over your concerns. If you don't get a response in a reasonable time, and of course they're so busy, well, then go to the executive director. On a side note, I have two very good friends who are chefs, and I'm sure they would agree that not all chefs are the same. So try the food. When seniors want to move out of their current community, we often hear that it's because of the food. Make food a part of your decision. I've never heard a community say to a prospective resident wanting to try the food that they couldn't. Get creative. If your mom or dad is in skilled nursing and they can't get to the food, have the community bring the food to them. This is actually called a home visit, and it's very common in senior living, even if they just bring a cherry pie. So, this actually just happened with a client of mine, and their mom gave a big thumbs up. Food was really important to her, and that cherry pie was great. And she ended up choosing that community. There are so many things to consider when choosing a senior living community or an adult family home, and care is definitely top of the list. But you have to eat, right? Why not take a break? Imagine you're going out to a restaurant or over to a friend's house and enjoy what will hopefully be a great meal. Today's episode is brought to you by ClearPath Senior Living Solutions. ClearPath helps families find assisted living, memory care, and other resources. Find our contact information in today's show notes. Check out this episode's doable download in show notes for details, including industry terms and definitions we discussed, as well as a bonus tip from our guest. Have questions or your own tips to share? Leave us a message. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, make it doable.